All right, good morning. Today, this month being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we decided we're going to talk about that particular problem, that particular malady. I'm not sure if you're aware how big the problem is, but since there's a lot of ladies in the room, I guess we're all aware, right? But that's not only a problem for women, also a problem for men, apparently. So let's talk about breast cancer. Here are some of the facts. There are 8 of them. Okay, let's just cut to the chase and put them out there. All women are at risk. No one is spared, no one is exempted. Approximately 70% of breast cancers even occur in women without any known risk factors. All right, so you're saying, I'm exercising, I'm eating healthy, I don't have anybody in my ancestors had it, I'm not at risk. No. 70% of those who are affected and are affected don't even have a single risk factor. So everyone is affected. Fact number 2, only 5% of breast cancers are inherited. We have this big notion that if you had a mom or an aunt or a grandma who had it, that you might have it. But believe it or not, statistics show that only 5% of the ones that we discover today are actually inherited from somebody from the older generation. About 80% of the women diagnosed with breast cancer today will be just the first time victims in their family. And there's a reason for that. We're gonna look at those reasons shortly. Fact number 3, breast cancer is the leading killer of women between ages 35 to 54, which is our demographics right here, worldwide. Not just in the Philippines, but all over the world. So this is not a problem only for developing countries or developed countries. It's a problem for every country in the world. And we need to be paying attention to this. All right? More than 1 million women develop breast cancer without even knowing it. All right? That's really unfortunate. Almost 500,000 die from it every single year. Okay? This is even bigger than Ebola right now, believe it or not. But we're not paying much attention because, Ebola is a big thing. Fact number 4, 1 out of 4 women who are diagnosed with breast cancer die within the first 5 years of diagnosis. 1 out of 4, that's 25% of women diagnosed will die in the first 5 years. And many of these are discovered at the late stage of the game, stage 3 and stage 4. And that's why this happens. Fact number 5, the incidence of breast cancer has been rising for the past 30 years. All right? And that's a sad fact. All right? It's not going down, it's going up. And supposedly the experts in this, the epidemiologists, NIH don't even know why. They have a hint, they have clues, but they can figure out why this is going up. The trend is going up. And so we need to be paying attention really, really well. Fact number 6, risk factors are not even necessarily the causes of breast cancer. Enough evidence exists linking the environment more than genetics or whatever we eat or touch rather than the way we live our lives. So now everybody's saying everything that we've learned about breast cancer is possibly wrong. All right? And that's why we need to be paying attention. Number 7, mammography fails to detect as much as 20% of all breast cancer cases. And a negative mammography does not, in 20% of the time, does not mean anything. Okay? And that's a failure rate. That's a huge failure rate. Mammography is now the standard screening method. And if it fails 20% of the time, that means it's 1 out of 5 women. And that's not good. That's not good at all. And as much as 40% in women under the age of 50. All right? We need to find a better way to screen. Otherwise, ladies, we're in trouble. All right? Fact number 8, early detection does not even prevent breast cancer. All right? So avoiding and eliminating known causes will prevent it. So the question is, what are these known causes? We're still figuring that one out. So these are the green facts of breast cancer. So before we go and find out what's causing it, and before we find out what we can do about it, let's have a basic scientific knowledge of breast cancer. Breast cancer starts with, of course, the tissues of the breast, and there are basically two main types of breast cancer. Right? Without going deep into this, the first one is ductal carcinoma. It's cancer that starts in the ducts, the tubes that move milk towards the nipple. All right? Ductal carcinoma is the more common type of carcinoma. You have it? Yeah. Okay? The more common type, okay, in the tubes, right there. Okay? They develop within the tubes. The other type of carcinoma is lobular carcinoma, which starts in the parts of the brain, the mammary gland called lobules that produce the milk, the lesser type or lesser known, lesser diagnosed carcinoma. So between the two of them, it's ductal carcinoma that is the more common. Okay? Now, let me talk to you a bit about estrogen. Estrogen is a huge factor in all of this. Estrogen, as we know, is a hormone in the body, a sex hormone, predominantly in women. All right? Now, many breast cancers, many breast tissue even, are sensitive to the hormone estrogen. Estrogen plays a role, okay, in developing the characteristics of a woman. Breast growth, right? Menstruation and everything. It also plays a huge factor in stimulating the growth in estrogen-sensitive organs like the breast, the uterus, the cervix. And so we need to talk about estrogen for a while, right? Estrogen is one of the causes for tumors to grow. And such cancer, tissues that are known to be estrogen-sensitive might develop cancers with the stimulation or overstimulation of estrogen. So when estrogen is present and there's a predominance of estrogen, as a woman goes into her menopausal period, okay, estrogen and progesterone are like twins. They check on each other. When one goes up, the other goes down, and vice versa. When estrogen goes up, progesterone kicks in, so estrogen goes down. But when you go into menopause, you know what happens? They're supposed to go down together. But the problem is, progesterone goes much faster, decreases much faster than estrogen. And so now you have less progesterone and estrogen dominance. And with progesterone down, there is nothing to check the levels of estrogen. And so as you go to the menopausal period, there is now a phenomenon called estrogen dominance. And so there's a greater risk for stimulation or overgrowth of estrogen-sensitive tissue like the breast, thus breast cancer. All right? On top of that phenomenon, estrogen dominance, we have a lot of stuff around us that are pseudo estrogens or estrogenic compounds. They are not estrogens, but they act like one. Time magazine published this recently and reported 10 toxins, compounds that are commonly found at home that has the estrogenic effect. And I'm going to name some of them today, and you'll be surprised that we are in contact with these compounds every single day of our lives. Case in point, bisphenol A or BPA. Have you heard of this compound? Mm-hmm. All right. What is it? It's a chemical used in plastic production. So you've touched a plastic bottle, you perhaps have encountered BPA, bisphenol A. They're found in water bottles, baby bottles, plastic wraps, food packaging. All right? And the government, all right, is raising concerns about bisphenol A. And so you find them almost every time you buy a mineral bottle or a distilled bottle from the vending machine. Okay? It's part of that. Okay? You can find them in dental sealants or plastic eyeglassware. Compact disc, photographic film, we don't have that anymore. Food containers, medical devices, polycarbonate water pipes, and even the lining of some huge containers. They're everywhere. And bisphenol A actually helps plastic to become transparent. And that's why they have to use it, to make it transparent. Now, what's wrong with this? Bisphenol A mimics or apes the action of estrogen in the body. And thus, there is a greater risk for breast cancer development. On top of estrogen dominance, you add bisphenol A, that's not a good recipe for you. All right? So these are experiments that can also cause insulin resistance. That's why we have a lot of diabetes and even precancerous prostate lesions in men. And now if you go to shopping malls right now, I've seen several in Target, some of the bottles that they are selling would have labels like BPA free. They're avoiding using that chemical now. And I guess if you're at risk, that's one of the things that you might consider buying. BPA free products. Next.
It's still in plastic though.
It's still in plastic. For many products, it's still in plastic until they declare it's BPA free. Okay, then they say, no, we're not using BPA to make our plastic transparent or pliable. Okay? Now, the other compound that you may not be aware of is parabens. Okay? They are synthetic preservatives found and used in products like moisturizers, hair care products, shaving creams. If you use any of those, you might have an encounter with this chemical already. All right? Causes hormonal disruption and cancer in animals. Studies show. What you should know, FDA has deemed that the current levels still safe. But guess what? If you use them every day or for a period of years, there might be a cumulative effect. Correct? So parabens are a class of chemicals known as preservatives, and they're used primarily because they kill bacteria and fungus. That's why big companies like to use them in products like shampoo or commercial moisturizer, shaving gels, even topical products, spray tanning solutions, right? And according to the Department of Biology Biochemistry in Brunel University, they have a weak estrogenic effect. They act like estrogens as well, okay? And since we use them in the skin all the time, anything absorbed through the skin may have a concentration 10 times if you ingest them. That's why it's a big problem. Because what? We use moisturizers all the time and we spread them in greater surface areas. So the absorption is much faster and much better, and so you get a lot of it all the time. All right? So this is another study. They found that the chemical parabens was isolated in 18 of the 20 tumors they have studied. Okay? And most likely, these are tumors developed using deodorants, antiperspirant creams, and body sprays. All right? So here's a good example. We will not name the company that makes this, but this is a baby product. How do you know? Look at the website. If you have any problems, call J&J Baby. And look at the ingredients. Now, we need to be looking at ingredients right now. Ingredients besides water, mineral oil, glycerin, fragrance, methyl paraben, ethyl paraben, propyl paraben. Not just one, but three. Three paraben products in one baby product. You know, baby products are basically 90 to 90% water, 5%, you know, what's the things that causes them to bubble or fragrance, and 5% of that are basically preservatives. 1 to 3%, I'm sorry, preservatives. So we need to be looking at the labels from here on. We don't know what's in them, and might be the reason why we're having all these problems. All right? This is a very common product amongst our community.
Sana.
We like to look good, so we use products using,
Placenta.
which is rich in estrogen. Okay? You know, estrogen makes your skin supple. A long time ago, there was a contraceptive designed for women, but eventually they found that the adverse event, or the side effect as we will call them then, can cause the skin to be supple, acne to go away. And so they changed the indication. Instead of now prescribing it as a contraceptive, they were prescribing it what? As a dermatological product for women with acne. Because once you use it, your skin will be glowing and be supple and acne-free. And that contraceptive is called Diane 15. I don't know if you've heard of that. Diane 15. All right, so why? Estrogen. It makes you go back to your teenage years. But it might cause the risk of breast cancer. And this is perhaps one of the many reasons why the trend is upward for the past 30 years. Because we have a lot of this. Every day, we're in touch with this. Every single day, in our plastic bottles, in the moisturizers that we use every day. And we're here to make everyone aware. I'm not saying stop using moisturizers, creams, and deodorants, okay, or shampoos for that matter. We're saying, guess what? Look at them, check the labels, and make a decision for yourselves. When you think this is not the right product for you, then avoid them altogether. Now, I don't sell anything for J&J or any other company. I'm saying, watch out. Everybody is into it right now, okay? And today is perhaps the best time to talk about this. Over the course of lifetime, 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. And that's sad. All right? We would like to be the 7, not the 1. And so we need to be doing everything that we can to prevent breast cancer. So, risk factors, just FYI, these are some of the known risk factors. One is age. As you advance in age, 50 and above, there's a greater risk for breast cancer. Family history, yes, 5% at least. Okay, we consider them. Your genes, the menstrual cycle, those who got their periods early or went through menopausal late have a greater risk for breast cancer. Okay. The use of alcohol raises the risk of breast cancer. Okay, not alcohol on your skin, but alcohol as a drink, a beverage. Drinking more than 1 to 2 glasses increases the risk for breast cancer, epidemiologists say. Childbirth, those who have never had children or had them after 30, according to statistics, greater risk of breast cancer. Using diethylstilbestrol to prevent miscarriage, those who took them, greater risk for breast cancer. Those who are going through HRT, hormone replacement therapy, estrogen, has a greater risk for breast cancer. Of course, weight, because adipose tissues convert estrogen. So if you have a lot of adipose tissues, you have a lot of estrogen. And of course, radiation, if you had it and you have it all the time, it is a risk for breast cancer. All right? So what about breast implants? Not that I'm saying you have it. People always ask me about it. Do they cause an increased risk of breast cancer? Do they? The truth of the matter is, breast implants do not even raise the risk, because the newer ones are inert silicone materials. Okay, so if you want to go for it, okay, well, they're saying for now, no problems. Okay? All right, so what are the symptoms? Well, of course, a breast lump is one of the things that we're looking for. In the armpit as well, or around the edges. Okay, change in the physical appearance of the breast. Right? If you see bleeding, ulcerations, unusual discharges, these size changes of the areola, fluid coming out from the nipple, especially bloody, these are early signs of breast cancer. All right, bone pain is one, but these are some of the symptoms or the signs of advanced breast cancer. breast pain, ulcers, swelling, and of course, weight loss. These are maybe end-stage signs and symptoms of breast cancer. And so, besides avoiding these chemicals, there's one more thing that I like to talk to you about, and this is this mushroom herb called reishi. Have you heard of reishi? Right? Reishi is technically known as Ganoderma lucidum, and I've been talking about this for more than 10 years now. Right? I've been advocating this mushroom since I discovered this maybe in the late 1990s and early 2000. All right? This odd kidney-shaped red mushroom has been in use for more than 2,000 years, tracing its history all the way back to the first Chinese emperor, Qin Shi Huangdi. And the traditional Chinese doctors have been recommending this as superior herb for many types of maladies. Okay? In Japan, they call this reishi, and in China, they call this lingxi. We're using reishi. Okay? And it's #1 medicinal herb in Asia. And I've been doing a lot of research on this in reishi vis-a-vis many types of maladies. And for our purpose today, I'm going to show you some of the journals that I've uncovered, some of the clinical findings, some of the research findings of the use of this mushroom reishi on breast cancer. All right? So, #1, this is from a study done in Indiana. Indiana scientists, Dr. Sliwa and team, found out that reishi blocks the receptors of estrogen. Now, we've been talking about estrogen, right? And estrogen stimulation. Now, if you want to negate the effect of estrogen, you will, 1, lower its production, or 2, block the receptors of estrogen in the tissues themselves. And they found out with a constant, regular use of reishi, reishi competes and blocks the receptors themselves so that estrogen cannot attach itself to the receptors and cannot stimulate growth in the breast tissue. Wonderful preventive measure. If you're at risk, take this as a preventive product, a health supplement, okay? That's one. This was published in 2006. Another study published in 2004, all right, this one is from UCLA, all right? They have discovered that reishi spores have the ability to stop or inhibit the growth of breast cancer cells in a dish, as well as it inhibits the growth of the blood vessels surrounding the cells. You know, cancer is an anomaly. It's a monster growing inside a person. It's a fast-growing, abnormal, mutated cell which demands a lot of nutrition. And because it demands a lot of nutrition, it has the ability to stimulate the growth of new blood vessels towards it, so that it shunts the flow of nutrition from the normal cells and then shunt it towards the tumor exclusively. And so one of the tactics that oncologists are using right now is to cut its blood supply. The logic is you cut its blood supply, you starve the cells, the tumors, you kill it. And so usually I found that the application of reishi on breast cancer does 2 things. 1, it stops the growth of the cell itself, and 2, it cuts off its blood supply. That's really wonderful for those who already have it. Okay? Here's another study. This time it's from Indianapolis. Dr. Sliva's team again found that spores in the fruit body produce enzymes, stops the cancer cells from producing the enzymes that causes the breast cancer to be highly invasive. You know, breast cancer is an abnormal growing tissue, and it grows really, really fast. And one of the tricks that it does is that it invades the local areas, and we call that metastasis. How does it do that? Well, it does this by, the tumor does this by producing enzymes that creates holes in its collagen walls. The walls that's supposed to contain them in the breast are now destroyed by the enzymes that the tumors produce. And so there's a hole in the collagen wall breast cancer cells can now migrate and invade its neighbors, and that's called metastasis or local invasion. And what Dr. Sliwa's team found in Indianapolis was when you apply reishi on a fast-growing, far-advanced breast cancer cell, it blocks the ability of that cell from producing that particular enzyme that starts metastasis. So for anybody who's on stage 1 and stage 2, and if you don't want your cancer to progress to stage 3, there is a recommendation that you might want to take reishi for that. Right? So we're now looking at the application of reishi on different stages of breast cancer. Prevention, early growth, and now maybe late stage growth. All right? This is from Dr. Sliwa's team again. They're doing a lot of research on this. The triterpenes. Triterpenes are chemicals. They're oils found in reishi. Suppress the growth of the invasive behavior of breast cancer themselves. So they're looking at this from different angles. Okay, this was a 2008 publication. Right, one more thing. This is from Korea, Seoul National University. Stops breast cancer cells from reproducing or producing cancer babies. All right. Cancer cells produce cancer babies. That's why they multiply, they grow, that's how they grow. And they found out that the application of reishi stops them from having babies. And second, it induces cell death. Normal cells, when they're coming near to their expiration date, actually has a method or as a phenomenon or as a mechanism to kill itself. And the technical term for that is apoptosis or cellular suicide. Every cell has an expiration date. Our red blood cells, 120. Some 90. Our skin, maybe 120. By the time it reaches its expiration date, to give way for the new cells that should come up and take its place, the cell shreds itself. That's a normal phenomenon called apoptosis. However, in cancer, apoptosis is absent. The cell does not want to die. And so now, the older cells who are supposed to be gone linger on. And so there's now an abnormal growth in that particular area of your body. And that's a tumor. So one of the techniques for killing the tumor is reintroducing apoptosis to the cell. It's reminding the cell, your time is up, go. And reishi, according to the Seoul study, does that. It restores apoptosis to the fast-growing breast cancer cell. All right? I hope I did not overwhelm you with the studies, but since breast cancer is a huge concern right now, scientists all over the world, you've seen UCLA studies, I've shown you Indiana University studies, and I've shown you a Seoul study. They're trying to figure out the effect of reishi on breast cancer in different aspects or stages of breast cancer growth, from prevention all the way to advanced metastasis. So, I mean, if this makes sense to you, and you think reishi could be something that you might want to use, we have a product that we've developed in Mighty Dove many years back, I guess now 4 or 5 years, or maybe as long as I've been here. 8 years? Was it 8 years? That we have called Red Reishi. All right? And this is just pure extract of both the fruit body, which is the fan-shaped part of the mushroom, and the spores. Now the spores it's been said to be 10 times to 100 times more potent, more concentrated than the fruit body itself. So we included that to enhance the effect. And we have ours from, the mushrooms are taken from Asia. They're manufactured and put together here in an FDA GMP approved facility here in Southern California. And we have 200 milligrams of the pure extract per capsule. And you have 60 capsules in a bottle. Now, as far as our experience is concerned, this is our recommendation. If you're going to use this just for prevention, all right, then I would recommend 2 capsules every single day. It will be 1 in the morning and 1 in maybe in the afternoon or evening. Right? Spread them out. Don't take them at once in the morning only. You have to spread them out. But if you have some health concerns, studies show you need to take more. So I would recommend, if the goal is to prevent and stop an existing tumor, maybe take 6 to 8 capsules every day. Okay? Especially if that's an advanced stage. And that's how we've been recommending this. Again, this is not a hard and fast rule. This is not a drug, it's a food supplement. We don't make any promise except that we've seen studies that it does work on breast cancer in many different ways, in different phases of its growth. And so if this is something that you think can help you, we recommend that you just start taking the supplement every day. Start with 2 capsules every day, 1 and 1. Or if you want to be more aggressive, take 6, 2, 2, 2, or 3 and 3 every day with your meals. And that's what we recommend to friends who are looking for maybe some alternative solutions to their health concerns. And so with that, I would like to thank you for listening well.